Mr. Dan Sorkin, good evening.
I'm muted. That is bad for a podcast.
Yeah, but it's also something to do with the Loom UX, as it seems to happen to every single person on every single call.
Ah, well, there you go. So just so you know, my internet is a bit spotty and my laptop. So if it cuts out, we'll just cut back in. My laptop is also making weird noises. So if I cut out for like 10 minutes,
Oh, you weren't joking, Dan.
yeah, it's usually not this bad, honestly. I think it's because we had the hurricane. Um, uh, and am I back?
You're back.
All right. If this continues to be a problem, we can always reschedule. I usually it's not like this, but like I said, ever since the hurricane, the internet's been crazy.
No, it's totally understandable. If it does become an issue after about 5, 10 minutes or so, we can just pause and reschedule. No problem. It
All
looks
right.
okay. I'm getting about 8 frames a second from you at the moment.
Oh, wonderful.
So what's going on? How has it been the last week? I know all this crazy stuff has happened. Has that affected you where you're living?
No, luckily we like avoided the worst of it. Like it was just a little like bit of rain. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a town called Asheville, which is about like probably 2 hours from us, a city,
Yes.
and it's underwater.
Are you in North Carolina? Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I just getting my camera set up there. I know North Carolina because one of my clients who I work most closely with, she lives there, and yeah, they were very lucky. They had heavy weather, but none of the devastation that happened nearby. So anyway, it's good to know you're okay and your family all good.
Yeah, yeah, because me and my wife are fine, and the rest of my family's in New Jersey, so they're like, "What's a hurricane?"
Sure. Okay. Fair enough. And you and I know each other, Dan. We've kind of been in a couple of programs and things together. And you're, I think, primarily known for being an expert in financial copywriting and marketing. Is that correct? Would that be a fair thing to say?
Yeah, yeah, like finance and biz op, pretty much. But I've played in all sorts of niches, from like I even did lead gen for local businesses, and some B2B stuff. So I like to play around.
What do you call yourself these days? Would you say you're a copywriter, a consultant, or something else?
I it depends who I'm talking to because
Okay. Great answer. I love it.
no, but it's sort of true because like there are some people who, if when I say the word copywriter, they know what that means and they understand the value it brings, and that's all I
Hmm.
need to say. And then there's others where I'm like, no, I am a marketing genius. I am a strategist. I I I commune with the elemental spirits to help spiritually sell your stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I have to do a vibe check before I can confirm that we'll do business together.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, realistically, these days I'm moving more into, if I'm talking to people, I'm more of a CMO slash CRO guy. Because what I do these days is so like I still do write a lot of copy and I still focus a lot on VSLs, but I'm really focused throughout the main funnel. Even like my big project last week was listening to sales, like hundreds of sales calls to figure out like how we could improve the conversions, which is not something a copywriter usually does. That's more CMO stuff.
That's true. But that said, when you can listen to sales calls, it really helps a lot. I mean, I've got to listen to a sales call tonight. A client sent me one, and I've been asking for ages with you guys, do you have any sales call recordings? And this particular niche they're in, they're just not that tech savvy. So no, no, no. Today, a client's line said, yeah, I've got one. I'll send it through. And he's just sent me through a video. I'm like, fantastic. This is going to save me so much time.
Well, actually, you want to know a neat trick? And as much as people hate on AI, what I learned if I put in a bunch of transcripts of sales calls, it can really analyze it. And I'm having it like, and you have to look, still watch the sales calls and make sure that what it's saying makes sense and like double check it. But as an analysis tool, it can be really good, and it's like spitting out, okay, here's the big difference between people who bought and who didn't buy, and here's the
Nice.
avatar of a non-buyer and a buyer and all that stuff.
Awesome. I think with the thing that people maybe, and it took me a long time to get my head around this, like with something more long form like VSL or a long form sales page, or something where somebody's already clicked an ad or clicked on a link in an email, and they've actually got themselves to the place where they're going to see some form of sales presentation. Like the previous actions they've taken show maybe not intent, but at least interest. And the job of that, like, big content piece, big sales piece, whatever it's going to be, video, text, whatever, is to actually like move all of their objections now out of the way, because they want
Mhm.
to buy, but there's a load of shit in the way where they're like, oh, but what about this? And I can't do that. So do you want to maybe kind of riff on that a little bit?
Well, you know what's crazy is that one of the, and this was about a year ago or so, one of the things that moved the needle most, or at least was a significant test in terms of the results and the difference, was after they clicked the ad, after they watched the 40-minute VSL, after they clicked, yes, I want to buy it, after they got to the order page. And all we did was change the CTA button on the order page for them to finalize the purchase.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually like increased the order page take rate by a significant percentage. And in my head, I'm like, seriously? Like, we did not add any new information. We did not like, but it's just that weird thing of, I think we changed it from like continue to like, yes, I want to start doing such and such thing today. Um, and like, you know, psychologically, you can understand, okay, maybe it's that final fence push that they need. But
Mm-hmm.
logically, you're like, really, you watched all this stuff and you still needed that final push. Like you clicked, I want to buy. You knew the price. You knew the price when you clicked on the order, like to go to the order page. But I will say, I will riff on one thing you said of they're already interested, and it's to move the objections out of the way. Yes, but I think another way or another thing they're doing is you can think of it as the ad that they clicked on. It made them a promise, right? It raised their curiosity. It made them that I'm going to promise, and maybe it was a little promises. I'm going to show you this cool thing or whatever. The VSL proves the credibility of the promise, right? That's what mechanism does. That's what positioning does. Um, that's what like the whole demo section, if you have a demo section of the VSL does. It's, yeah, this is why you can believe that I'm actually telling you the truth.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Someone's calling my phone and I gotta stop them. Can you still hear me okay, Dan?
Yeah, I can still hear.
I think that's gone away now. I hope so. Is that all okay?
Yeah, I mean, I can see your mustache up.
Okay, there's something so weird going on. Hold on
Oh
just a
wait, no,
moment. I'm
I
gonna
can see your face again.
I'm gonna change to a different camera where you can't really see me, but hey, I'm here. Um, and I'm gonna switch off my phone so that I don't get interrupted again.
Yes,
Much
and
better.
I'm going to ninja a quick screenshot of this so I can you know talk about this on Facebook, post this on Facebook
Okay.
as some pre-selling.
It, nice. It does take a few weeks before I actually get to publish, though. I now like keep about 5 or 6 weeks worth of these interviews like scheduled up, because in that way, if I miss a week or something that I don't, I can fill it in, and it's
Well, you got
nicer
to
that
warm the
way.
people up.
You got to warm the people up. I've been doing so many of these. This is episode number 70 or 71, I think. Oh, actually, sorry, no. It's probably somewhere like episode 73 or 74 of doing these interviews. And it's been a really good experience. It's getting to talk with people I know, which is great. Getting to talk to people I don't know, which is also great.
Yeah.
And getting to learn from different people who do different stuff that I maybe otherwise wouldn't have had the chance to learn from.
Yeah, I've kind of been playing around with starting one myself, just because I know so many people with like unique perspectives,
Hmm.
um, that I think it'd be just fun to talk to them. But I'm just like, it's another thing to add to my plate.
This is true. I've made it into a combination now. I don't really think of it as a podcast. It is, but it's also like my networking activity for one of my
Yeah,
networking activities for the week,
yeah.
and it's also a credibility activity because I know now when people search my name on Google, there's a lot of YouTube results come up for all the videos I've made, and that
No, that's true.
immediately makes people think, oh, well, this is a real human being. It's not like
Yeah,
it's not three squirrels in a trench coat with a fake mustache.
exactly. Nobody could fake that mustache.
Yeah, I suppose not. It happened by accident. I just shaved it in for a joke one morning when I cut my beard off in the summertime, and my wife was like, "Oh wow, that looks nice." I was like, "Okay, I'll keep it," because
Yeah,
she's
my
Indian, and I guess it's a cultural thing, you know. It's
my
like the
wife has
mustache is
forbidden
cool.
me from going from shaving.
Okay.
I'm allowed to
Is
trim the beard. I'm not allowed to like go clean shaven.
okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think it's to do with the Bollywood movies. Like it's a classic thing for the leading man in a
Yeah.
Bollywood movie to have a big bushy mustache. Like it's a macho thing.
Really, she's slowly moving you into the Bollywood career transition.
Maybe. I'm not much of a dancer though. You got into this industry through the kind of like proper type Agora style financial copy. Am I right about that?
Yes, no. So I,
Okay.
like a lot of people, fell into this industry by pure accident.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Basically, I had lost my job at a startup. I desperately needed money to pay rent. My
Mm-hmm.
cousin at the time was a content marketing consultant. He's like, go do content marketing. He literally gave me my first client. He's like, here you go. Next thing I know, I have like three clients and I have no idea what I'm doing. So every day I'm just like Googling how to content market, like do content marketing. Um, I find this weird dude named Gary Halbert and his letters, and he seems to know some things. And I start reading his stuff, and I'm like, oh, direct response seems cool. And so I think I Googled like how to do direct response or something, went down a rabbit hole, and ended up finding this Lucas Rashevsky, if who
Oh,
you probably
cool.
know. And so his mentorship was the first time I actually learned copywriting. And so did that. I went and basically ended up getting a job doing like lead gen for this agency where I was running Facebook ads and writing the landing page and whatever. So it was my first sort of direct response marketing job. But then
Mm-hmm.
I ended up going to Agora, which is where I was really immersed into like call it the hardcore style of copy.
Okay. And it's interesting because when I got into copywriting or first got interested in it, I first kind of became aware of it around 2014, and I was listening to James Altucher's podcast, who you may know of.
Oh yeah.
Um, and he had guys on like I can't remember what the guy's name is, Aaron Brabham, who was one of the top guys at Stansbury at that time. And so he was talking about all this financial copywriting, financial marketing. It made it sound really exciting. So that was kind of, and I think a lot of people who got into copywriting in that period of time would have heard about Agora or some kind of Agora offshoot as being like, that's what copywriting is.
Yeah,
But then,
I was in the Money Map Press imprint. Uh,
okay.
yeah, so I was it was cool because I they were doing like really like high level VSL production.
Hmm.
Um, but I got in right when financial was going down a downward slope anyway. So
Sure. Well, that's kind of where my question was leading towards because like that part of the marketing industry was so prominent then and it's less prominent now, but financial marketing hasn't gone away. Yeah,
mhm.
from what I see, a lot of it's migrated to like long form stuff on YouTube, like you know um I can't remember the name of them. People like that guy, Raoul Pal, for
Mhm.
example, and people like that. Like, what do you see? Like, where is financial marketing these days, and what kind of
Uh,
things are going on in that
so
space?
a few places from what I hear, and it's interesting because my two offers that are running well right now are both financial, um,
Hmm.
but I don't like the place I'm working with is more biz up, so I don't really keep an eye on the financial market too much, honestly. But from what I see with my offers and from what I've heard, a lot of it is going into financial software, because people are much more have less of a bad taste with that. I think if you what really happened with financial offers is they got into this because there were so many competing offers and because there was nothing unique about the products. Honestly, they were just newsletters.
Yes,
We got into this arms race of 5,000% returns, 10,000% returns, 1,000,000% returns. And, it's like at a certain point, not only does the FTC come in, but, when you promise them that and you actually lose money on your newsletter, people start to get a bad taste in their mouths.
they do. Yeah.
Understandably so. Um, so now what it is you can offer software that actually does a real thing, right? Or you find an expert who actually has something truly unique to their offer, to their system, that can truly where it's not about the claim, it's about the positioning in a
Okay.
sense. Meaning you're not claiming that you're going to make them 10,000% returns because nobody believes that and you shouldn't because you probably
Hmm.
can't. But you can claim, hey, I'm going to show you a different way to trade, or I'm going to show you a different way to invest, where it's going to do this specific thing. And
Oh dear. I think we lost Dan.
sorry about that. Where did you lose me?
Um, you were talking about the software and about getting away from big claims and moving more into
Yeah.
positioning and mechanisms.
Yeah. So, and I have to be vague here because I can't reveal the offers I'm running, but
Of course.
it's the claim is the claim is about the unique mechanism, right? The claim is about how you're going to change the way they trade and the way they invest, whatever it is, um, in order to make it easier, better, faster, whatever. They can infer the what that will do to their returns and whatever, but that's not the claim you're making. The claim is very specifically about the mechanism and what the
Got
mechanism can
it.
do.
Has the like has the space become more personality driven than it used to be, where it's not really like the story so much as this person is a I guess for want of a better word, a guru in that space.
I would argue less, actually.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
well, yes and no, because when I worked at Money Map, like it was all personality based, almost. Yeah, you had like this big idea and like this big like micro event that's going to change the base of investing somehow every time with every newsletter. But like the thing is, all the people who bought that were already part of all the newsletters and they knew all the personalities, right? And like if you went to that, I forget what the name of that site is, but there was a site that would break down the VSL and figure out what.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Stock gumshoe.
Yeah, I actually felt a sense of pride when I realized my VSL got on there. I'm like, I made it. Um, but like if you read in the comments, you all the people commented it to be like, yeah, Michael Robinson's right about this, or Michael Robinson's always been like this, or whatever the name is, you know. Um, but these days, like the two offers I'm running, they were not known quantities, right? They're starting to become known quantities a little bit, because we're running ads, but and we still tell their story, you know, and they still have a personality. That's still important, but it's not, but it's really more about the mechanism and the way they're positioning themselves.
When you come to launch an offer now, or working with a team that are launching an offer, do you have kind of some level of proof, or not proof, some level of validation for the offer before you start to really spend money on building marketing assets and buying traffic and things like that?
Well, that's interesting. So the agency I work with now, we take over existing offers and we take over the front end marketing. So we want at least a working back end, if not a front end, and we want proof that the back end works, that it has results, and that they've been doing the back end for a while. Because we ran an offer, we got the front end marketing working. It was a new back end offer for the expert. We got his first like set of back end buyers. He's like, guys, this is too much work, and we had to kill the offer. And we're like, well, we are never doing that again.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so you essentially want to see that a horse has had a few runs around the track before you're going to start to
Yeah.
put some money into stabling it,
Yeah.
right?
Now that's our business model, right? The agency I work with. But it's if you're building your own offer, well, I would still want to see some validation that the market wants it. You know, and it doesn't have to be huge validation, but you should at least be able to have some people look at the course and be like, yes, I want to pay money for it or something, before you launch a whole funnel for it.
So when somebody comes to you with a working offer, a back end at least, and they say, okay, hey Dan, I really want to scale this thing up. Can you create me a new front end that makes that possible? What's your process? How do you start?
So first, it's a lot of deep conversations with the expert. One of the things I don't insist on it, but I know I'm gonna probably be successful if they have it, is they can usually give me the external story. And what I call the external story or the external narrative is this outside force that's causing your prospects to have the problem or be in the situation they're in that they don't know about and they don't realize. So an example of that, I mean, you see that in copywriting today all the time. All the copywriting coaches and gurus are like, AI is because of AI and because copywriting is now being sold as a biz op. We have the supply of like really cheap copywriters and business owners who think AI is just all you need for copy. So we have a supply and demand problem. So unless you know how to stand out, you're never going to get a single client again. You're going to have to be paid like 5 cents per BSL. And even though you have a 20-year retainer with your guy who was your best man at the wedding, he's going to drop you tomorrow. Like
And
that
you'd be
is,
living under a bridge, eating baked beans from a can with all your children around you crying.
you think you're going to get baked beans with this inflation? Come on, man.
Turnips.
Yeah, but that's and well, I mean, it's a good external story if you want to sell something, right? If you want to sell
Yes, absolutely.
copywriting.
Well,
And
Andrew Tate and the Matrix. The Matrix is coming for you. Where is it? Well, it's everywhere and it's nowhere. Oh shit. It's like that paranoia, the all-seeing eye of evil.
and the reason it's important is not just because it gives me an enemy to like say, hey, it's all your fault. Then it's where the unique mechanism and positioning ties in. Because usually we say, hey, you're doing things wrong because of this thing. So now my mechanism and positioning is going to show you it's going to be the right way to do things. And my VSLs are so focused around that part of it that if the expert can't give that, let me put it this way, the expert could be the best in the world at making you move more and eat less, and I maybe he's just that's all he does, but he's just really good at it. It's very hard to sell that, you know?
So I get it. I would love you to give us an example, not from your own offers. I understand for privacy reasons you can't talk about those, but maybe from something that's popular out there in the market right now, like something to do with a copywriting offer. Is there somebody out there who's doing that external story well and has got a good mechanism?
I'm trying to come up. Uh, well, let
Or
me
any
think.
niche you like?
Yeah, no, I've been so heads down in my own offers. I'll say something. What is weird about me? And I almost feel like I should apologize for it, but I won't because it hasn't affected my results, at least not immensely, is I don't really study other offers.
Okay.
And the reason I don't is, I'll be frank, I've never needed to. I might look at another offer because I see something cool and I want to see how they do it or how they do a specific part of it. But and maybe just me or the way I was raised, for lack of a better term, I've never like breaking down a BSL and writing it out and breaking down the structure has never been a part of my process in developing copy.
So
Um,
hand copying and building a big swipe file and all that kind of stuff, not stuff that you
I
do.
did hand copy as part of doing Lucas's mentorship, so I'm not going to discount it because I'm sure it
Hmm.
helped. And I do have swipe files, but the people who obsessively gather swipe files, right, and who break down VSL structures, for me, I've never found it necessary. I'm not knocking on it. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not what I focus on,
Hmm.
for whatever reason. Um, Probably because I have a structure I like and I don't need to, and as long as I have the elements I need, I don't need to deviate from it. Um, and I'll say my other gripe about copywriters in general, I think they overcomplicate the process a lot. I think we have a lot of stuff that like we assume are best practices or that we think is like, oh, look at how good this copy was. And I'm like, dude, who cares? It's I don't care how good the copy was. I care how well it performed and why. And like, did it perform well on warm? Did it perform well on cold? What was the market conditions like? Whether the guy used this word versus that word, or he was communing with the stars when he wrote it, or whatever. It's never been something that's been relevant to me. Um,
This is like there's so many variables in every marketing promotion, every campaign, even down to the timing, on so many external factors that are completely out of control, that it's rarely possible to isolate one thing that was the kind of the linchpin of success.
I'll give you an example that I witnessed. One of the like top copywriters where I was working when I was at Agora wrote a cannabis investing promo. The promo was had all the great copy you would expect. The day before it launched, the cannabis stocks crashed. It was a complete flop. No copy would have saved it. Um, so yeah, it's like you said, there's so many variables, and I think if as a copywriter you can't see if all your focus is on the copy and you can't see all the other variables, then you're doing a disservice. You're literally just a order taker, right? Here's the copy, write it. Um, and look, before people think I'm knocking them, there are some very, very good, very highly paid order takers. And they're the ones who probably get benefit from breaking down every VSL that comes out, and they like know 10,000 different structures and whatever. It's just not how I prefer to go about it, which is
Hmm.
probably why I'm more on the CMO, CRO side than pure copy side.
Let's go back to where we were a couple of minutes ago. So you talked about this idea of the external story
Mhm.
that creates I guess it creates in some sense the reason for why it's the why now. Why does
Mhm.
this matter now? That's what you're looking for when you speak to the expert and researching on how to create the front end. What's your next step?
So then the next step, so there's other stories I look for. There is what I call the uh expert story, which is literally the expert story and how they came from A to B. That's the hero's journey, always important.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that's important is A, I've always, it's funny, I've always wondered why the hero's journey is so important. And what I finally figured out is it's because it gives you that epiphany moment. Because if I just tell you, if like, let's go back to, let's use keto as an example. Actually, keto is a great external narrative story too, because keto is like, hey, like carbs are the reason like your body is dying every day. And the agricultural big farm
Big
has
food.
big
Big
food,
food.
big food is selling carbs to us. And they position themselves as anti-carb, right? But if I just tell you, hey, carbs are bad for you because of science fact, science fact, science fact, you might believe me, but it's not going to emotionally hit. But if I tell you a story of how I came out to that epiphany, and by the time I tell you the epiphany, you're nodding your head along and you believe it yourself, like you're going to believe that epiphany, and then you're going to believe everything else I say. And that, in my view, is really where the hero's journey comes into play.
Okay. So
Um,
you got your
so
external narrative, you
I
got your
forgot to
hero's
get,
journey.
and this doesn't really come, I figured out like what is the personal story, right? Like what is, they're transforming, the prospect wants is A and he wants to transform into B. Like what is that transformation? So once I have those and I have all that stuff, then I go into understanding. I do a little competitive research to understand what the rest of the market is selling, how we stack up, all the standard stuff. Then I start testing on Facebook. I test problem points, I test headlines, I'll even write some leads and just test that and see what the view rate is, the hook rate, even the click-through rate. Because, and I'll even test images, because you can test it very quickly, cheaply and quickly on Facebook. And just by seeing it won't be 100% that it's giving me the right elements, but I have a much better idea than I would otherwise. And then I can see all this, and I can go into the VSL. And I've changed my VSL writing process before, and I guess this was why originally we were doing this podcast. The idea that hit me is that, oh wait, videos are visual. They're a visual
Yeah.
medium.
Okay.
We should probably think about the visuals first. And
Yes.
the reason and the example I give is we could read a book, right? And the book could have like these 3 pages, which are this really engrossing inner monologue where the hero of the story is like having this amazing epiphany and character development and whatever, and you're engrossed. But if you just showed that a guy staring into the sunset for 5 minutes on a TV show, even if it was a word for word translation, it would be nobody would watch. And so I think we see that a lot with copy is you can write this amazing script that reads really well, but then you're like, what do I show? What do I put on the screen in my graphic notes? And this is when copywriters are like, just have the talking head, or just put the text on a slide, and it'll be good. Trust me. So what I do now is I figure out, okay, how do I tell the story visually, right? And when I send it, when I have others review it, I won't even have any text. I will just have the like representation of the images or the visuals or the B-roll that I want. And based off that, I tell the story using nothing but those images to prompt me, because that's how I know like the story is good, because the visuals are telling me everything that needs to be said.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you there. So you start from here's how I want to structure my VSL, and
Mhm.
then that's your thing. So you're kind of you're storyboarding it out. Then
Yeah.
you find the visuals to support or to actually bring that storyboard to life. And then your third step is you work backwards from the visuals to the actual copy that's going to be in the voiceover or the script. Is that correct?
Exactly. The actual copy comes like third or fourth.
Ah, okay. Very interesting. That is unusual process. And it's good. It's interesting you're saying that because there's something happened to me just today. A client of mine reached out, an ad I wrote for them a few months ago. They were paying $900 per attended call for a B2B offer. And I wrote this ad and I started from the point of view of what is this like product? And I realized it was like the product is a problem solver. It's like, and then I was like, okay, what kind of problems does it solve? Well, it solves all kinds of problems. Well, I can't talk about that in an ad. And I was like, what's a great example of a problem solver? And then I thought of one of my favorite movies, which is Pulp Fiction and Mr. Wolf. I was like, how can we like make this ad look like our product is Mr. Wolf? So we got the founder of the company, who is a very a very cool dude, like a dude who actually could do the kind of shit Mr. Wolf did in that movie, no
Nice.
problem. He's like, you would see this guy and you think, yeah, that guy can get rid of a dead body if he needs to. You know, he's a very resourceful looking chap and a very old school, like unflappable type of character. I was like, we just let's just make him Mr. Wolf for this the lad.
Nice.
So we made him Mr. Wolf, and like in just some very simple ways. And in 90 seconds, we told a story about, hey, if you've got this type of business and you've got any of these type of problems, just call Mr. Wolf and he'll sort this shit out for you. And it works so well. And like that story has got very little, that ad has got very little dialogue. It's mostly imagery. And I just, it was just like one of these sort of stupid little ideas that worked out great. But their cost per attended call has gone from 900 down to $300 in the last few months just from that ad.
That's
So,
great. That's great. And you didn't say this, but you actually stumbled upon what the like theory I've been working on about visuals and
mhm.
imagery is, because I've always thought about, or what I started thinking about is what is the actual purpose of visuals, right? Because everybody thinks of visuals as I need to change what's on the video every 7 seconds for attention. Right? That's
Oh
like,
God.
and there is truth to that, right? Like people get
Yes.
bored. And so I'm not saying that's wrong, but I'm saying it's incomplete because so far my working theory is there's actually three more purposes for visuals.
Hmm.
One, and probably the most important one, is to compress information. Um, because we know that every minute of a VSL is valuable real estate, right? If you can take a 40-minute VSL and make it a 35-minute VSL without sacrificing any of the information you're trying to impart, that is better for, obvious reasons. So when I say compress information, and this is a simple example, you remember those like Ty Lopez ads where he's like, he doesn't even mention the Bugatti, but he shows the Bugatti or the airplane or whatever. And even if he's not talking, or he shows his library of books, because he's like, he doesn't even talk about the books, but he's like, look how smart I am. I have all these books, right? It's he's letting people draw all these inferences about him.
Mm.
But I'll give you another example, and again, I have to be vague, but like imagine I wanted to show you about the benefits of a certain strategy with a chart. If I just talked about it, right, it might take me 2 pages, right? Or I could say, here's the chart. Look what happened here. Now look what happened here. Now look what happened here. I don't even have to describe what happened because you can see it. And I'm
It's going
letting
up
you,
and to the right. That's good.
yeah, that's not what was happening on the chart, but you can like there's so many ways that you can use a simple chart with just the right like highlights or whatever um to and let them get and just show all the information you need to show in like 30 seconds. So that's one. The second one is to clarify information. And this is when you're dealing with something very technical, right? Or like a complex thing to understand. You can use analogies, you can use metaphors, but you can also use imagery to make it really obvious what you're doing. You see this a lot in like supplements. I think supplements do this really well, where they're like, here's the human body, and here's where your biotoxins are like like whatever they do in supplements, and here's like it just because you see a picture of it, you think it's true, even if it's like just something they made up. You think it's true because look at the cool picture they have. And the third visual is, um, or sorry, the third point of visuals is to invoke emotion, right? And this is where like a lot of the B-roll comes in. But there's fun ways to do it because if like let's say you're doing an offer where you're talking to a guy who's working 80 hours a week and you want to help him get down to 30, and you could say stop missing on life's little moments, and you can show a montage of kids playing little league or like missing a wedding anniversary or whatever, like all these moments that he's probably missed. And you don't need to name
Mhm.
every moment. You can just show, and he'll fill in the blanks.
Yes. Uh, I've seen many good examples that there's an ad. I don't know what it's for. I've seen it many times. It's one of the things that does the rounds with marketers, but it's of an old man who's like lifting weights alone in his house and nobody understands why. And he's doing this for months and months. Like there's a montage that shows period. And his friends and family all think he's gone crazy. Like, why is this old man just working out alone all the time? But then the final clip, the payoff is it's Christmas and his little granddaughter runs up to her and he picks her up so she can place the fairy on top of the Christmas
Yeah,
tree. And it's kicking, it just pays off the story so well. With I think there's no words in that ad, it's just images. It's so cool. It's like,
exactly.
oh,
And
that's why.
yeah, it's a perfect example. And these are all things that like when I say them, they sound obvious, they should be obvious. And when you like
Mhm.
say that example, it should be obvious. But we're not like copywriters are trained to think of words on a page.
Yes.
They're not trained to think visually, and that's why it's like such a big shift for so many people.
Yes. There are people who are more in that world. There's some of the people I know who really think thoughtful about this are guys like maybe like a Nick Verge, or maybe some other people I know who've like worked in the entertainment industry before, like Ron Lynch would be probably somebody like that as well, where they've worked in the world of pure entertainment, where you're just creating artifacts just for pure attention with no like direct economic payoff, no CTA.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to understand this very, very well in a way that, as you say, copywriters are thinking, oh, I've got to write a 5,000 word sales letter, so I'm going to put 5,000 words in. And and inevitably it's stuff like where oftentimes they're not actually even writing for the customer, they're sort of writing for other copywriters, or writing
Yeah,
for the fandom, as Colin Terrio likes to call it.
yeah. I
And
mean, I know I'm beating a dead horse, but I think that's the other reason why I try to avoid like really studying other VSLs is because did he write it because it was good copy, or did he write it because it felt like good copy because other copywriters liked it?
yes, there's someone I'm thinking of right now who's got a VSL, which I think is one of the best VSLs I've ever seen. The there's no substance to it whatsoever. Like the product itself is essentially air. Like people are he's made a lot of money off of selling air, and like if you sit down and sort of analytically try to think about what's going on in that VSL, it's just like it's it's a fantastical, it's absolutely fantastical nonsense. But damn, every time I sit down and watch it, this guy is so good with the visuals like that he uses, the story that he tells, which like just goes in all kinds of directions, but is very exciting and engaging that you almost forget that you're about to be sold something. And then third thing he does, which is really good, audio, not just music, but like the sound effects that he puts into his VSL to create this like sense of like anticipation and foreboding. It's just so powerful that every time I sit down to watch this thing, even though I've watched it a few times, it absolutely suckers me in. I'm like, damn, this is good. And then like, 20 minutes later, I'm like, oh yeah, shit, he's gonna sell me his stupid product now.
Well, did I send you, and we can't reveal it, but did I send you that really stupid ad I made that wasn't supposed to make any sales?
No, no, you didn't. Please do afterwards.
Yeah, but it's dude, if I showed this to that ad to 1,000 copywriters, I promise you, all of them would have been like, this breaks all the rules of copy. It has absolutely no right to make any sales. It should never see the light of day, whatever.
Hmm.
And look, it wasn't supposed to make sales. I made it soup like that because we were trying to figure out why our ads kept getting rejected. So I tried to make something super vanilla. It for a while it performed so well, we actually scaled the budget on it. To this day, I even after I show it to you after this, I won't be able to tell you why. So it's like I it's one of those things where yes, you should learn how to write good copy. And yes, there's a lot of things you can learn how to do and grow in expertise, but you're still going to be continually confused by why people buy what they buy based on what you said for as long as you're in this industry.
There's, and this I think comes back to the next thing, which is there can be all this tactical stuff. There can all be all this idea about like human buyer psychology and you know whatever, like the manipulation secrets of cult leaders and all the other kinds of nonsense crap that people love to talk about in the world of marketing. But there are fundamentally some incredibly irrational reasons why people make purchases. And if we just take a moment to think about our own behavior as consumers, the way we buy things, the meandering twists and turns we go between first finding out about the thing we want and actually coming to the moment of purchase, and
Yeah.
the crazy justifications we make for like pointless crap that we buy that we really never needed or maybe didn't even want after we got it.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
deeply irrational aspect to all this.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like that's why I'm my focus is more on like those fundamental stories, which like instead of being like, okay, what's the exact wording that I need here? Now there are, to be fair, there are some like really good examples of really good wording and like really good, like if you say this here at this time, it'll help you. And I'm not, and those are important. But in general, if you're looking for like the 80-20, it's as Alan Soltanick would say, what is the funnel economics? That's important. I don't dispute that. What
Mhm.
is, and for me, it's mechanism, positioning, awareness, external story, personal story, brand story, and also is how does your product match up to what's in the market, right? And if you can get the 80-20, you don't have to write A-level copy. The reason A-level copywriters have to write A-level copy is because they sell the same shitty product to the same people who are buying other shitty products. So they need A-level copy to like hide the fact that the product isn't there.
That's a whole other conversation,
Yeah.
which we won't get into right now. Um, because there are some high level copywriters who get highly offended when we make these kinds of statements. But yeah,
I,
there's an element of truth to it.
I'm not saying that all high level A-level copywriters sell shit. I am saying that a lot of the people who require a high level copy, they need the high level copy because the product isn't there.
Yes, I think that's a pretty fair statement. And I think the other things you just mentioned, whereas if the timing is right, there's demand out there for the thing already, and there's a reasonable amount of understanding about what it is. It doesn't take a lot of differentiation for something to become very, very popular.
Exactly. Or
Once it's
I mean,
got something
like you
unique
said, the
that
guy
people
selling air.
find is different. Yeah, yeah. My friend is selling air, and he sells it very well. He's very, very good at it, and he does have something that is uniquely differentiated from other types of air that people are buying these days. There's a lot of air being sold.
Oh god. Why do we bother with product development when we can just sell air?
Yeah, I ask myself that question all the time, but I don't know. I guess there's some kind of internal narrative about the virtue of hard work or something like that. I don't know.
I am, I want you to send me that VSL because I want to see how he positions his air. And I'm running through my head all the possibilities and the like, and for some reason I keep thinking it's like the air of some OnlyFans model that simps are buying, but I'm
No,
guessing
no,
it's
no, no.
not.
It's nothing like that. It's so it's far more tame. It's so everyday. It's like it's no, it's nothing to do with anything salacious. There's no real violence or sex or anything exciting in it. It's like it's so everyday and boring that you'd be surprised. I'll give you another example. And this is not somebody I know personally, but it's a very popular um offer out there. Um, Someone did something very, 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 very powerful where they started to sell their product. Well, I think some people will recognize this with an offer out there in the market. They started to sell their product, and part of their sales process was when somebody bought their product, I said, look, this product's going to really work, but like for it to really work, you actually have to like visualize how it's going to work for you and just like map out all the steps mentally that you're going to use to get with this product to go from where you are right now today to where you want to be in 6 months' time. And so part of the best way to do that is to create, and I'm going to just pause for a moment till Dan comes back. You're back, Dan?
I'm back. Are you back?
Yes, I am. So I think I left you at like mapping out this idea of where you're going to go with this product in the next 6 months' time. And the best way to start that process of mapping out your future development with this product and all the success you're going to have is to create a video of you and record it for yourself right now of how your life is going to be in 6 months' time and all the great things that have happened to you. And so you're going to record that video now. And to make sure that you actually take action on what you're going to do with this product, you need to send me that video. So he had thousands of people do this. And of course, what did he do with those videos? Put them into the VSL to
Of
make them,
course.
and where it's like without any context. So these are videos that here's videos this customer sent me. Here's a video this customer sent me. Didn't explicitly say the context, but it gave the impression that all of these people had an incredible success with this product that in the end was not very substantial, didn't have a lot of validation behind us.
See, that works so well, but one day the FTC is going to see that video.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to get into that conversation either. I'm sure they are. It's quite possible they already have. You know, I mean, there could be a SWAT team outside the guy's house right now. We don't know. But I've like that kind of stuff. It doesn't feel super good to me, even though in the end, there's a threshold where in certain industries like financial, it's highly regulated what people can and can't say, what claims they can make. In health, the same. There's very strict regulations, especially in the United States, about the types of things people can say to be a compliant or non-compliant. But there are certain other realms, like things like spirituality or wherever, where essentially because of like freedom of speech that you have and religious freedom in the US, you can say almost anything and still be on the right side of the law.
See, and this gets us into an interesting conversation, and let's go into this tangent to finish us off. Is I think one of the things that copywriters have to decide, or marketers have to decide, or people in direct response have to decide, is are you selling an offer or are you building a brand and a business? Because yes, you can get away with a lot of stuff, right? Um in your copy, like the examples you gave. But eventually nothing builds a brand like a good product that people enjoy and they get results from. Um, you know, I know I'm talking crazy here. I know I'm talking crazy here. Um, but it's true. And like you saw that with like a lot of publishing financial companies is they had really great marketing, but their products weren't up to it. And ultimately that was the problem. And I think the issue is that if you're if you're a copywriter working really closely with the client, you have to be as involved if you want to build a brand, or if you're part of the company, with the product and how you can make the product better and how you can get people the results and make them have a great experience with your company, right? Beyond just getting them to buy more stuff. If they enjoy the product and they have a great experience, you can put in all the stuff of getting them to buy upsells and backends and increasing their lifetime value. But you can't ignore the product itself. I mean, you can, but it's gonna like hurt you down the road.
It is. And it also depends on the individual person as well, what their comfort level is with the types of things they're selling. But what I do see is that some people do well in the short term and very well, and oftentimes that can be good. And then if they're clever, they can maybe move on to something else. But it seems like a lot of people have a moment where of a meteoric rise and then an equally sharp downslope, unless they uh, at some point decide, okay, I need to create something that's going to have some stability, put some stability and longevity into my future for me.
Yeah, and look, it is valid to say I'm going to build an MVP of the product and make sure people will actually buy it before I put a lot of resources into building it. That is
Hmm.
fine. That is standard. But at some point you got to build it, and you got to make sure people are getting value from it. And like same for your backend. And say like say what you want about Russell Brand, but he turns like buying his stuff into an experience.
Brunson,
Brunson.
Brunson. Okay, I was thinking Russell Brand. That's that English comedian guy. You mean you're talking about all the ClickFunnels products or his books specifically, is
Yeah,
it?
I remember. I think back when I was a baby marketer, I bought like one of his books, and I think I got a text where he personally couldn't like it was a not personally, but he was on video and he's congratulating me and telling me how excited he is for me. Which
Hmm.
and yes, it was pre-recorded and it wasn't personalized or anything. But think about how much like good feeling that won for me, where he's not just sending me the book, he's sending me this other stuff.
Yes, there's a lot to be said from just having a positive experience around buying a product, being made to feel good or feel appreciated or that this is something exciting, right? I mean, a lot of times people just buy for the feeling.
Yeah. Dude, I remember I used to do mixed martial arts and I they when they invited me to the like they to the team that like where we actually like there were fighters and they were like practicing for actual matches. Um
Hmm.
and it was like this whole thing where I went to the tryouts and they gave me like this scroll with the invitation on it. And it's only looking back then I'm like, oh wait, that was an upsell. Didn't feel like an upsell at all. I was like, I was honored.
Yeah, and it creates a feeling of reciprocity. Like I've got to really show up and do my best now because these
Yeah,
guys are they're relying on me. And it's like
yeah,
that's the perfect time where they can hit you with a long-term subscription.
exactly. But I
Okay.
didn't like at no point what was I feeling like, oh, they're trying to get me an upsell. I was like, oh my God, I get to join this.
Love it. Dan, where can people find you, connect with you, and maybe even want to work with
Yeah, I mean, if you want to connect with me, just find me on Facebook, Dan Sorkin. I have a currently empty YouTube channel called DS Marketing 101 and an empty Twitter/X profile called DS Marketing 101. If you want to know when I'm going to start posting videos and other content on Twitter, just subscribe now and I will get to it.
you? I think need to start building it before they come because you've got a lot of very deep esoteric knowledge. I know it can be hard to share that knowledge because of privacy concerns and because of like strategic reasons of not wanting to give away an edge you've got. But like I said, you've got a lot of deep esoteric knowledge about like the finer details of what makes things work, and I would like to see a bit more of you sharing that going forward. So I hope you do.
You know what's funny and the balance I have to make is so I posted on Facebook like a couple days ago a video and just to get my reps in for video content. And I was talking to Sam about it. Sam Ocean, who's like a YouTube
Yes,
expert, just to get
good
his feedback.
guy, really good
Yeah.
guy.
And he was like, dude, content was great, but just so you know, it was like so sophisticated that it'll be relevant for like two people out of a thousand
Yeah,
or something. And I was like, I need a better
this is
balance
true.
than that.
You gotta do some Homer Simpson level stuff too.
Yeah.
But
Just
the other thing is the go broad stuff is good if you've got something that can sell to a broad market. But if you've got something very sophisticated, there's no harm in being sophisticated either. It may be no good for most people, but for the right person, it can be just the thing.
yeah, you know, it's this interesting mindset thing where I can say to myself all day, hey, I just need like 100 really sophisticated YouTube subscribers who are like nine-figure business owners. and it's completely true and it's completely logical. But emotionally, I know I'm going to be like, why do I only have 100 subscribers?
Big number go up is a nice feeling,
Yeah,
no matter
make
what
number
the
go
big.
up.
Yeah, it's back to that like stuff where it's like highly irrational, monkey brain. People love the feeling of like seeing lots of likes and comments on their content, even if not a single damn person among them is ever likely to give them $1.
Dude, there's nothing more painful, like emotionally or intellectually, is you can write like this really sophisticated piece of content on Facebook that has like all this value, and you'll get like one pity like from your wife, and then you'll
Yes.
you'll write like a stupid like joke, or like, to be a copywriter, you have to be really curious, agree or disagree. And then you'll get like 50 likes, 10 hearts, 100 comments all saying agree. How like how insightful. And
Most of those comments are now written by AI, unfortunately, though. It's getting
but
stupider.
I know, but like it's like, really?
This is how it is.
It is what it
Dan,
is.
thanks so much for coming tonight.
Hey, absolutely, man. It was a pleasure.
Final thoughts before we wrap?
Uh, you know, in the words of Jerry Springer, take care of yourselves and each other.
Beautiful. I'm going to stop the recording now.